Hi, everybody. This is Jackie with Panama Relocation Tours. I'm going to be adjusting the lighting on this a little bit because it's way too dark. Meanwhile, if you could put in the comments on where you're from, I'd love to know where some of you are from. That's a little bit better. That's the bad thing about these live streams is getting the color just right. I mean, that's the best we're going to get right there. Can you hear me okay? Let me know if you can hear me okay. Audio seems low. Okay, let me work on fixing that. Okay, now let me know if you can hear me okay. Good. So welcome to the Panama Relocation Tours live stream. And if you could let me know, if you can hear me okay, then someone said that's better. If at any time during this whole thing you can't hear me very well, then let me know and I will do some adjustments to try to fix it. So Happy New Year, everybody. I want to start out this new year. I know some of you are already making plans on moving to Panama, and some of you are sort of thinking about it, but I want to give you some things to think about on why you should really consider moving to Panama in 2022. Someone said they're still having some problems with the audio. Let me try to turn it up a little bit. Microphone. Okay, hopefully that's better. Yeah. So, I tried to avoid watching the news very much, but people are always sending me news articles about what's going on in Canada or US or what's going on in Europe. And compared to Panama, it looks so good here in Panama compared to what's going on in the rest of the world. Not just with COVID and the lockdowns and all the crazy things that are happening, but also I'm hearing of crazy prices on gasoline and what it costs to buy a head of lettuce there and just the expensive prices. So if someone says I need to adjust the volume still, this is why I think it's so much better if we just do the audio calls instead of these video calls. I'll tell you what I'm going to do, everybody. I'm going to put a phone number in here that I think we need to just all go over to a different format. And we're going to go back to doing just an audio call because this video thing is not working very well. So give me just a second and I'm going to give you the phone number to call. And everybody needs to call in instead. Some people are still having lots of problems getting in, hearing anything. So if someone said it's fine, okay, then let's get started all over again. So I'm Jackie with Panama Relocation Tours. I've lived in Boquete, Panama since 2010, and I'm so blessed to be living here in Panama during this whole crazy pandemic thing that's going on when I see what's going on in the rest of the world. So for some of you that are just getting a little bit frustrated with what's going on where you are and getting fed up with how the prices are going up higher and higher, then this might be, Panama might be a really good solution for you. Things are not going to get hopefully things will get better with COVID in 2022, but I don't think that things are going to get better with the big increase in prices of things going up. Gasoline, utility bills, groceries, all those things are just going to continue to keep going up. Um, and there's really nothing you can do about it. You either have to make more money to be able to afford all those things, or you're going to have to dip into your savings and your retirement account and deplete that to be able to continue to live where you are because the prices are going so high. So a big solution is to move someplace where it's more affordable. Now, you could move someplace more affordable just in the town where you live, in the state where you live, in the country where you live. But I think a better solution is to move here to Panama because it's significantly less expensive on many, many things here in Panama. Some things are not going to be cheaper here. Some things are going to cost more. For example, if you buy a name brand peanut butter here in Panama, it's probably going to cost the same or maybe even a little bit more than where you are. But if you buy a Panama brand of peanut butter, you can really cut your cost in half on what it just costs to buy that one little thing. But there's so many other ways that you can save money here in Panama. Your cost of living is going to be much less than where you are right now. And also, I think your quality of life is going to be much better because you've got beautiful scenery. I'm looking out at this beautiful, let me see if I can show you. Hold on. Let me see. Can you see my view? See it? Out my window? Did you see that? So, I've got mountain views, I've got trees, I've got blue skies, and all these things that I get to look at every single day. The people that live by the ocean, they are amazed at their beautiful ocean views and the weather that they have. And you just are going to have a much better lifestyle here in Panama. Plus, you're going to be able to reduce your cost of living. So if you're just getting fed up with how things are going with the pandemic, how things are going with lockdowns, how things are going with the prices just to continue to go up and up and up, then I really think you should consider making some plans to move to Panama. So here's just some ideas of some things of what it's going to cost to move to Panama. As a tourist, you can only stay here for about 7 days. So, I'm sorry, you can only stay for 180 days if you're from North America. Some places in Europe, you can only come here as a tourist for about 30 days or 90 days. So as a tourist, you can't stay very long. If you're going to move here, you want to be able to live here indefinitely. And for you to live here indefinitely, you'll need to get a residency visa. The two most popular residency visas are, one is the pensionado visa. Now, to qualify for that visa, you will need to have a pension already, that you're already collecting something like a pension from your job, Social Security, military retirement. Any of those things will qualify you for the pensionado visa. You only need $1,000 a month and lifetime income plus $250 for a dependent. So a couple would only need $1,250 to qualify for the pensionado visa. One of the other big pluses about the pensionado visa is once you get your permanent visa, which will take less than 6 months, then you're going to qualify for all kinds of discounts. If you love to travel after this whole pandemic thing is over with, then you get 25% off of airfare to anywhere in the world. Even if you want to fly business class, you'll get 25% off. Also, you get 25% off your electric bill. You get 25% off your cell phone bill. You get 20% off every time you go to a restaurant, unless it's a fast food restaurant like McDonald's or Kentucky Fried Chicken, then you only get a 15% discount there. If you're one of those people that loves to go to a movie theater, we get first run movies in English here in Panama. The typical price is about $4 or $5 to go to the movie. But once you get your pensionado visa, you get 50% off on the cost to go to a movie. So not only is just the day-to-day living costs going to be a lot less, and I'll talk about that a little bit, but all these discounts that you get when you add that on top of a reduced cost of living, then you're really going to be able to cut down on what it costs just to survive. Instead of spending, $7, 8, $9,000 that some of you are spending a month, or $5,000 a month to live there, you can probably get your costs down to about $2,000 a month for a couple, $2,000 to $2,500, unless you live in Panama City or Coronado. It's a little more expensive there, and then you're going to be looking at more like $3,000 to $4,000 to live there. And I'm talking about rent, utilities, health insurance, groceries, car expenses, getting a massage every week, haircuts, all the things that you're going to need. So you can significantly reduce your cost of living. And it just doesn't make sense to keep spending crazy, crazy prices. I know some of you are waiting on until you can draw your pension, and then you're going to move here. We'll have a solution for that later in the call, so be sure to hang in here with us. So, like I was saying, you can live well here on about $2,000 to $2,500 a month as a couple in many places in Panama, with the exception of Panama City or Coronado, because those two areas are a little bit more expensive. A typical rent, this $2,000 to $2,500, I'm talking about renting a place that's about $800 a month. An $800 rental would be a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. It's going to include all your utilities. Typically, it'll include a gardener. So all those things will be included. If you live in the highlands, your utilities are included. If you live at the beach, typically they're not going to include your electricity, and you'll have to pay for it. And what you pay for electricity depends on how often you use your air conditioner. If you just have your windows open and ceiling fans going and fresh air from the ocean breeze, then you'll probably have about a $50 to $80 a month electric bill. But if you're using that air conditioner a little bit more often, then it may run up to about $150. But still, you're going to be able to live significantly less here in Panama. Plus, what about looking at the Pacific Ocean every day if you're living by the ocean, or that beautiful mountain view that I have out my window right now? So all those things are available to you here in Panama. I know some people that are living here in Panama. There's a guy in Volcan. I know 3 people in Volcan that they're renting 2-bedroom houses, and they're nice houses for less than $500 a month. They're furnished. It includes all the utilities. I know several people that are renting 2-bedroom houses close to the beach for less than $400 a month. So you have to be thinking, why am I still continuing to work my butt off here wherever I am when I could reduce my cost of living and have a better lifestyle if I moved to Panama? So we're going to do everything we can to put the wheels in motion to try to help you be able to move to Panama this year, if that's what you want to do. Some of you may have to wait till next year because you're waiting on a pension, but either way, we're going to be able to help you get moved here right away. So here's some example of just some of the day-to-day cost of what you might have to spend, just things that you would normally buy. If you go to a fruit and vegetable stand to buy things like a pineapple, papaya, a head of lettuce, a big watermelon or a small watermelon, be about this big. If you buy a watermelon or plantains, they're going to be about $1 each. Now, I know I've heard from people that it's as much as $5, $6, $7 for a pineapple where you live. So, but you can significantly reduce your cost of living if you shop at some of the fruit and vegetable stands for your vegetables. My cell phone bill is less than $30 a month, and that includes a hotspot. I have data. When I was in Mexico for the whole month of November, my cell phone works even in other countries. If I'm in the United States, if I'm someplace else, my cell phone works internationally for just $30 a month. The internet and cable TV for my house here is, now, by the way, I have 250 megabits of internet speed, fiber optics, and I have cable TV, which I never use, but it was cheaper to get the package deal, and that's $60 a month for me to have that. My water bill here at my house, now I own my house. If I were renting, it'd be included in my rent. But my water bill is only $105 a year. For unlimited water, it's not even metered. If you live in the highlands and your electricity is probably going to be included in your rent. But if it's not for some reason, it's probably going to be about $25 to $30 a month for an electric bill. How does that compare with what you're spending right now? I bet you're spending more than $25 a month on electricity. I have a gardener that comes twice a week, and he's $30 to come and take care of. I have a big yard, so he's $30 to take care of my yard. My housekeeper broke her arm in November, so she hasn't been here for a while. But normally it's $30, $35 for a housekeeper to come and clean my house, wash the windows, do the dishes, change the sheets on the bed, do all those things. So not only can you reduce your cost of living, but some of those things that you do yourself because it's just too expensive to hire someone else to do it, you can outsource it. Here, you can have someone else do your yard work. You can have someone else clean your house. I even know people that even though they have a washer and dryer at their house, they don't do their own laundry. They package everything up in a big bag, and they take it to one of the laundromats in town where they'll do the whole big bag of laundry for $4 or $5. They wash it, dry it, fold it, and give it back to you. And people say, well, I'd rather do that than have to wash it, dry it, fold it, and everything myself. So even with your laundry, there's things that you can do. Massages are about $35 an hour to get a massage. Manicure, pedicure is about $25 for a manicure, pedicure. So there's so many things that you can do whenever you come here. I know some of you are, walking through the grocery store and you're thinking, oh, I'd like to get that. And you say, no, I really can't afford it because the prices have gone up so much. Well, when you move to Panama, you won't be saying, I can't afford it anymore, because you're going to be able to afford so many things a lot better here in Panama. And I know it's getting cold up in North America, especially in Canada and the northern United States and in Europe. And that means that your heating bill is going up and up and up. Well, here in Panama, you don't even need a heater. There's no place in Panama that you need a heater. There's some nights when it gets a little bit chilly, you can just put on a sweater. It might get down to 64, 65 degrees, but you can just put on a sweater. You're not going to have any heating cost. And just think of how much money that's going to save. I see a lot of questions coming through, and I'm going to take your questions after I go over some of these different ways that you can save money. So I talked a little bit about the Pensionado visa, and that's one of the visas that you get, but I want to talk about the Friendly Nation visa and some new information that I have about the Friendly Nation visa. The Friendly Nation visa is ideal for someone that does not have a pension yet. So if you don't have a pension and that's your excuse for not moving to Panama, listen up, because there is a solution. There's 3 ways that you can qualify with a pensionado with a Friendly Nation visa. One is you can buy real estate that's worth $200,000, which I would not recommend that you do that, because it's better if you just rent for a year before you even consider buying anything, just to make sure you like Panama, make sure that you like the area that you've selected. Yes, I'll discuss lawyers in a little bit. With the Friendly Nation visa, one is to buy real estate, which I would not recommend. The other one is for you to deposit $200,000 into a Panama bank into a 3-year CD. The minimum you're going to earn on that is about 3.5%. I know some are at 4.5% interest on the 3-year CDs, and I've seen some that are a little bit higher. So if you find the right bank, you could make a lot more money by depositing that. The other one is to get a job. Now, you might be thinking that you have to get a job working for somebody else, but what if you set up a company here in Panama and then you hired yourself? Your lawyer can help you do that. That whole process of setting up a company and then you hire yourself. So that's another way that you can qualify for the Friendly Nation visa. Attorney fees to get the Pensionado visa are going to be approximately $1,500 to $2,000 to get that visa. It's a one-time fee. You pay it, you're done, it's all finished. It's also going to be about the same cost to get the friendly nation visa, unless you set up that corporation, and that's going to cost another 1,000 to 1,500, depending on which attorney that you're going to use to set up the company for you. So let me go back to my notes here. So one of the things that I really encourage you to do is to rent for at least 6 months. Almost everybody I know has had to move 2 or 3 times after they've moved here. Sometimes they move to the beach and they think, oh, this is going to be perfect. Look at that amazing view. But after 3 or 4 months, then they think, well, it's just too hot, or it's too humid, or too noisy, because a lot of Panamanians like to go to the beach on the weekend. So they decide they want to move to another location and try that out for a little while. Or some people move to the mountains, and like Boquete, where I live, and they decide it's a little bit too cold. So they end up moving to the beach for a little while. If you're just renting, you can easily do that. You can live in one place for 3 or 6 months and then move to another place for 3 or 6 months and give it a try. Some people want to try living in Bocas del Toro on the Caribbean side on an island. It's not right for everybody, but you won't know until you give it a try. At least visit first and then give it a try. But you might find that the perfect place after you try out several different places. Even people I know that have lived here in Boquete, and we have a new video coming out later this week of James Kent, that we did a video when he first moved here, talking about moving here, getting in a band, getting a girlfriend. Well, that was 3 years ago. So we have an update on what's going on in James's life. And I think James has moved 4 times in the 3 years that he's been here. Because one place just had one problem, another one had barking dogs, another one had electric problems, another one he couldn't get high-speed fiber optic internet. So there's all kinds of different reasons where you might move. Someone's asking about, can you break your lease? You can break your lease. The way that it works here in Panama, if you move into a place and for some reason it just doesn't work out for you, you may be able to talk to the landlord and get all of your money back, and they just move on. But the right way to do it is you have to give a 30-day notice that you're going to vacate the property. So you have to pay for that final 30 days. You'll probably lose your deposit. You might get some of your deposit back if you leave it in excellent condition. But so long as you give at least a 30-day notice, then you're not liable for the rest of the lease. So yes, you can break your lease. So because Panama is such a small country, it's only about 4.5 million people in the whole country. And to drive from one end of the country to the other is 8 or 9 hour drive from one end to the other. But like from my house in Boquete, I can drive to the Pacific Ocean in about 1 hour and 15 minutes. Or I know people that live in the Coronado area. Sometimes it gets a little bit too hot, or they just want a change of scenery. They say they'd like to go hiking in a rainforest. In 45 minutes, they can be up in a rainforest in a valle. So imagine being able to live in a country where with less than a 1 hour drive, you can be able to completely change your environment, completely change the weather, and, different restaurants, all kinds of things are going to be available to you with just a 1 hour drive. Now, if I want to go over to the Caribbean side from my house, it's a 3 hour drive to drive over to the Caribbean side to Bocas del Toro. But still, I don't have to get on an airplane. It's just a drive to go to the other side of the country and completely change my environment. It's almost like going to a completely different country when you go over to Bocas del Toro, yet it was just a short drive. And if you don't want to drive yourself, or if you don't have a car when you're here, there's buses that will take you there. There's all kinds of shuttle services. It's about $30 to go from David, Panama, all the way over to the Caribbean side. So it doesn't cost very much to completely go someplace else here in Panama. So there's also so many different things to see and do here in Panama. We do have a couple of websites here that are kind of like Groupon. One's called Oferta Simple, OFERTA SIMPLE.com. And you can subscribe to that, and they let you know about things that are on sale, a restaurant that's on sale, hotels that are having big discounts. And you can kind of plan your in-country vacations based on what's for sale. I know recently one of the all-inclusive resorts had $89 a night for two people. It included all your food, included all your alcoholic beverages. Everything was included for $89 a night. So with prices like that, you can go and once again save money and go explore different places in the country without having to get on an airplane. It's also good to monitor those for sometimes they have buy one, get one free for restaurants, and just plan your going out to eat based on when the website, when the restaurants are going to have a buy one, get one free special. Also, every single town has all kinds of festivals that you can go to. We have one that's coming up here in January in Boquete called the Coffee and Flower Festival. It's a 10-day festival, beautiful gardens. Now, they're not going to have live music and dancing and the big stage with the concerts like they normally do, but they're going to have a lot of vendors, beautiful gardens that you can see. And every single town has different festivals throughout the year. There's also live entertainment at many of the restaurants. On Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday night, they have live entertainment throughout the country. There's places you can go for that. It's also, anytime there's live entertainment, there's going to be a few more people there. So it's a good way to meet other people. There's great restaurants throughout the country also, and so many volunteer opportunities. If you like dogs and cats, you can get involved in the spay and neuter clinic or some of the rescue operations that are available. There's just so many things that you can do. The other reason that you should really consider moving to Panama in 2022 is you would probably be able to reduce your cost of living for healthcare cost. My healthcare cost, I have insurance here in Panama that costs me $102 a month. It's really cheap, $102 a month. But a lot of people I know that live in Panama, they don't even bother to get insurance. If they're in pretty good health, they don't get insurance at all. Instead, they just pay the $15 or $20 when they go to see the doctor. If that's a little bit out of your budget, the 15 or 20 bucks, by the way, that's no insurance. It's just $20 to see a doctor. So they might go to the public hospital or a public clinic that's in their town where it's only $2 to see a doctor or $5 for a specialist. So with these kind of prices I'm talking about, you can see how just moving to Panama, you could be able to significantly reduce your cost of living. I recently had to get my eyes checked because it seemed like I couldn't see very good out of my right eye. And I've had 5 eye surgeries. 3 of those eye surgeries were here in Panama. So I was sure hoping I wasn't going to have another surgery in my eye. I went to an ophthalmologist in David who did a very thorough exam. And thank goodness he said, my lenses are fine. I just need some glasses. So I got exam, frames, and transition lenses. It was $239 total cost for that. And he sent them up to Boquete, so I didn't even have to drive all the way back to David to pick them up. I got them 3 days after my exam. I see all your questions, but I can't answer your questions and talk at the same time. So if you could hold off on your questions until I finish talking about the things that I want to discuss, then I'll be able to start taking your questions. I promise I'm going to go through the questions, but I can't look at the questions and talk at the same time. So just hold off on them. So we've already talked about the pensionado visa and all the discounts that you get. Now, in my opinion, in many areas in Panama, to buy a house, the price is still too expensive. It had kind of gone up before the pandemic started. And then with the pandemic, things have just been sitting on the market. And some things are just priced way too high. So that's why I really encourage you to just rent for at least a year, because that gives you time to make sure that you like Panama and also make sure that you like the area that you've selected. It's fast and easy to buy a house. I've bought several houses here in Panama, but it could take many, many years to sell a house, especially if you pay too much for it. So you want to be careful to know the right price to pay. And you're not going to be able to know that until you've lived here for a little while and talked to a lot of people and watched the market on things that are going to be for sale. So one other way that, this is a big one other way that you guys are going to be able to save a lot of money here in Panama. I know some of you, you can't retire yet. You're not ready to retire. You don't want to retire. You're not old enough to retire. You still need to make income. Well, what if you could move to Panama and the employer that you have would let you work remotely here in Panama? You'd significantly reduce your cost of living by doing that. You'd have to talk to your employer about it. Or what if the company that you work for, that instead of you being an employee, you became a contractor instead, and you set up that company here in Panama, and then you continue doing the same kind of work that you're doing, but you acted as a consultant for the company that you're working for. That's possible. Many people have been able to do it here, but here's the frosting on the cake. If you're a United States citizen, there's something called the Foreign Earned Income Exclusion. For 2022, it's $112,000 in tax-free money that you would be able to make. So let me give you an example. If the company that you work for, if you talk to the employer and they really didn't want you to work remotely, but they said they would hire you as an independent contractor, so they would hire your company that was set up here in Panama, and you continue doing the same kind of work that you're already doing. You're just doing it through your Panama company. Well, if you made $112,000 a year through your Panama company doing the same kind of work you're already doing, first of all, you would owe no taxes in Panama because Panama has a territorial taxing system. They only tax you if you're selling products or services here in Panama. But if you're selling products or services outside of the country and you're a U.S. citizen, you can make $112,000 completely tax-free. You wouldn't pay a penny in taxes in Panama. You wouldn't pay a penny of taxes in the United States. Now, it has to be active earned income. It's not going to count for pension or retirement income. But not only can you reduce your cost of living, but imagine making $112,000 and not having to pay taxes on it. Who's all in for that? What if you're even already retired and you do get the pensionado visa, but you want to take advantage of this? Well, you can do some kind of, there's a website called Upwork. You can do freelance work. You can set up a company in Panama and you can do freelance work for other people, or maybe contact the employer you used to work for and just do some part-time work. What if you made $50,000 and it was all tax-free? $60,000 and it was all tax-free. You can make up to $112,000 completely tax-free if you're a U.S. citizen. If you made, let's say, $200,000 whenever you were here in Panama, the first $112,000 would be tax-free, and then the rest of the money you'd have to pay taxes on. But it's a big reason to consider moving to Panama to take advantage of that foreign earned income exclusion. So the way I see it, and I've been here a long time, but Panama checks all the boxes. Not only does it have amazing weather, it has beautiful scenery, the most friendly people. You can reduce your cost of living. It has really good health care at super affordable prices. And there's just so many good reasons to move to Panama. Panama is also a hub to get, if you like to travel, and once this whole COVID thing is settled down a little bit, it's real affordable to go to any other country from here in Panama, to whether you want to go to Europe or you want to go to Mexico like I did, or somewhere in South America or Canada or the United States. It's affordable and it's pretty fast to go there. My flight to Mexico was a 4-hour nonstop flight. If I wanted to go to Miami, it's only 2.5-hour flight to go to Miami. So it's real close. Panama is real close to other places and some really good airlines. I like Copa Airlines. This is my favorite. So those are all the reasons that I think that you should be moving or consider moving or making plans to move to Panama in 2022. Now, in a little bit, I'm going to start taking your questions. But before then, I want to make an announcement that next Saturday on January the 8th, as good as this whole moving to Panama thing sounds, There are some 8 essential things that you need to know before you move here. These are really, really important things before you start packing your bags. Don't put your house on the market to sell it yet until you've been on. Hopefully, we'll do a live stream next Saturday at the same time at 5 o'clock Central. And I'm going to talk about 8 really important, essential things that you need to know before you make your plans to move to Panama. Unfortunately, for some of you, when you hear these things, it will disqualify you from being able to move here. You wouldn't be able to do it. But for most of you, the majority of the people on this call, you would absolutely be able to qualify to move to Panama. Also, in our complete Panama relocation guide, we have a lot of information about recommendations for immigration attorneys. We have recommendations for honest real estate people here in Panama. We have information about all the popular places to live in Panama and the pros and cons. I don't just sugarcoat it all. We talk about the good, the bad, and everything else. How to buy a car, how to get health insurance, how to get house insurance. Everything is all in the complete Panama relocation guide. So I encourage you all to check that out on our website at panamarelocationtours.com and then click on online guide up at the very top and see all of the different things that are included. So now, I know you guys have asked a ton of questions, but I couldn't read the questions and talk at the same time. So now you can ask your questions. You can type it in and I will show it and then I will answer your question. Okay, so this one says, can I drive my car down to Panama? Yes, some people have done that. They've been able to drive their car down to Panama. The COVID restrictions in different countries may make it a little bit more challenging, but you can definitely drive your car down. People have done it. I even have an article on my website about driving from the United States to Panama. So if you go to panamarelocationtours.com and then you click on the little hourglass up at the top right-hand corner for searching it, then you may be able to see how the article about how to drive, someone that drove down here. So another question. I've heard driving is very dangerous through Mexico. I've heard that driving is very dangerous through Mexico, but someone that came on a Panama relocation tour, he recently drove from Panama back to the United States through Mexico and he had no problems. Now, there are certain places where you probably would not want to go through, but he had already done the research and he knew exactly which route to take so that it was going to be safe. Okay, another question. Is there still a time of year that the water runs out? So it's not everywhere. So right now we're in the beginning of the dry season. January, February, March, and April, we don't get very much rain. I had to water all my flowers today. Normally I wouldn't have to do that, but I had to water flowers today. At the end of the dry season, so maybe about March or April, some areas, especially in the Zuara, they may have a situation where the water pressure is very low or they have no water. But there's an easy solution. Make sure that you rent a house that has a reserve water tank. I have one. I have a 10,000 liter reserve water tank. So the way that works is the water comes into, the municipal water comes into the water tank, then it goes through a filter, then it comes to my house. So I wouldn't even know if there was no water because I have so much extra water in my reserve water tank. So when you're looking at a house to rent, ask them if it has a reserve water tank. If it doesn't and you absolutely love the house, ask them if you can put one in and deduct all of the cost or part of the cost from your rent. You'll be surprised that a lot of landlords will be glad for you to do it. Maybe they just didn't have the upfront money to pay for the water. Okay, Jackie, you get 120 inches of rain in Boquete. Yes, I do, but not in January, February, March, and April. I don't get hardly any rain at all. But that is a lot of rain. Most of the rain's going to come in the late afternoon, starting about 5 o'clock maybe while I'm sleeping, so I really don't notice it. Also, it's going to just soak right in right away. So Marcy asked, can a hotel address be used when applying for a pensionado visa? So this is a good question, Marcy. Thanks for asking that. If you are a single person and you're applying for a pensionado visa, your attorney will probably let you use their office address for the address when you're applying for a visa. If you're a couple and you're applying for a pensionado visa, then you're required to have a lease for at least 2 months long. So that would have to be an Airbnb or something else that you've rented. You probably wouldn't want to rent a hotel for just 2 months. But your attorney will have a list of places that they know that you can rent where you can get that lease for 2 months. Even if you're not planning to stay for 2 months, you can get a reduced price on renting it for 2 months. So Margaret says, we have a tour coming up January 28th. Should be worried about the U.S. being labeled as a country not allowed to enter? Nope, not at all. There's very few restrictions right now on people coming into Panama. There is a restriction on South Africa coming into Panama, but and they have a list of high-risk countries, but United States is not on the high-risk list. If you're on the high-risk list, and you can go to tourismpanama.com and then click on COVID guidelines, it has all the information about coming into the country and who's on the high-risk list. High-risk list has to quarantine for 3 days whenever they come into Panama, but other people do not. Here's another good question. They use the American dollar. Yes, Panama uses the U.S. dollar, and they have for more than 100 years. They've used the U.S. dollar. So if you're from the United States, that makes it quick and easy. There's no exchange rate to deal with. If you're from other countries, then yes, there's going to be a bit of an exchange rate. Another, is there a limit on the number of pets you can bring with you? There's no limit on the number of pets that you can bring with you, except the airline. You have to always start with the airline and check to see what rules and regulations that they have for bringing pets into Panama. You may have to call several different airlines or look at whatever the airline is and then search for pet policy. So Delta Airlines pet policy, American Airlines pet policy. Look at that, and it will give you an idea on what the rules and regulations are for bringing pets. But Panama itself has no regulations on how many pets that you bring into the country. So DE says, Jackie, can you help find a place in Boquete without going on a tour? So you don't have to go on a tour, but if you get our complete Panama relocation guide, it's only $595. It has a list of all of our recommended immigration attorneys to help you get a visa. It has a list of recommended that we know are honest and ethical real estate agents that can help you, and property managers that can help you find a rental property here in Boquete. The other thing about, and it has all kinds of other information, the other great thing about getting the complete Panama relocation guide is you also get access to our private Facebook group, which is only for people that have been on the tour or people that have bought the guide. And I hear about really great rental properties all the time. And the only place I'm going to ever publish those is in our private Facebook group. Just before, right after Christmas, I got 2 really good rentals here in Boquete. One is a 1,000 square foot, 1-bedroom, completely furnished, all utilities included, for $525 a month. It's amazing. Really nice furniture. Nice kitchen, everything about it, for $525. The other one I got was a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, all furnished, everything included, 2 blocks from Main Street, and it is $750. So if you want to get in on these really, really great deals with no real estate agent involved, the only way to do it is to get in our private Facebook group, and you can get that by either going on a tour or getting the complete Panama relocation guide. Another question is it difficult to find a job or open a small business? It's very difficult to find a job in Panama. The minimum wage in Panama is only $2.35 an hour. So, for most jobs, you wouldn't want that job anyway. The pay is way too small. The only way you're going to get a job that makes decent money is if you're working for a multinational company. Once again, if you go to our website, PanamaRelocationTours.com, and you click on the hourglass at the top and type in get a job, then we have a whole article about getting a job with a multinational company and a list of over 100 multinational companies with links to their website where you can check on what jobs are available. I do know several people that have gotten jobs here in Panama working for a multinational, making a six-figure income. Remember, if you worked for a company here in Panama for a multinational, you probably would not have to pay any taxes in Panama. And if you're a U.S. citizen, the first $112,000 of your income would be all tax-free in the United States. So it's definitely worth it to get a job here. Setting up a small business is another challenge. It's easy to set up a business, just to set up a corporation. Most businesses are also going to require a business license. Some will require some additional, like if you have a restaurant, you'll need a health certificate and other things. But it could take a while for you to be able to get all those things in place, 6 months, 8 months, to get the whole business running. If you have experience with running a business before, then you should probably be able to get it up and running pretty easily. So this question, please go over what could possibly disqualify you. Next Saturday, I'm going to go what could possibly disqualify you. So next Saturday, you'll have to join me on a live stream again at 5 o'clock Central, and I'm going to talk about 8 things that you need to consider that could possibly mark Panama off the list for you. Hopefully none of them will, but you need to know about them. So next week, I'll tell you all about it. This one says, if you're looking to rent or buy, can you find a lot of properties on Facebook Marketplace? So if you're looking to rent or buy, first of all, wouldn't recommend buying, but if you're looking to rent, you can see a lot of properties on Marketplace, but you have to be really, really careful. There's some real estate agents, unfortunately, here in Panama, they're not very ethical. And like we just had a situation where somebody rented something off a Marketplace. It was not one of our recommended real estate people. They paid the $1,000 deposit and $1,000 rent, and the property had been rented to somebody else. They were scamming them out of their money. So they lost their money. Another person I know, they rented a house for $1,600 a month. And then they met some expats at one of the restaurants, and they were talking about, this beautiful house that they rented. And they said, I just moved out of that house, and it was $1,200 a month. But it was managed by a new real estate agent, and they play this little game here called a net listing, where the owner says, I want to get $1,200 a month, and the agent will jack it up to $1,600 so they can put an extra $400 in their pocket. Unfortunately, that happens here in Panama. That's why we have a list of recommended, honest real estate people that we work with here in Panama that don't play those silly games. They're not going to cheat you out of your money. They're not going to do net listing, which is very illegal in North America. So just because someone has a real estate license, or just because they were a real estate agent in North America or in Europe, doesn't necessarily mean that you can trust them. You have to be very careful. Okay. Some have Craigslist. So yes, Craigslist has rentals also. You can look at them there. Once again, you have to be very careful because there's some scam people there on Craigslist also. I know someone that, first of all, never, ever, ever, if someone says, you have to send me the money first before you get here for me to hold it for you, they want you to send it by PayPal, that's probably a scam. So don't do it. So you have to be careful. That's why we recommend that you work with the people in our Complete Panama Relocation Guide, because we know they're going to be honest and ethical. Another question. These questions are coming in so fast I can't get to them. So this, Debbie says, if you're wondering about the tour, it is so worth the price. We went last summer and fell in love with Panama. The tour provided all the answers to our questions. Thank you, Debbie. Thank you for that information about Panama relocation tours. By the way, if you look on our website, it shows that the tours are sold out, I think, until August of next year. But if there's a date that you want to get on, then you can go to Panama Relocation Tours and then just search backup list, and you can get on our backup list to be notified if we get any openings. But the other thing you can do, if you know that there's an area that you're especially interested in, you've got to live by the beach, you have to live in the mountains, then you can do a private tour instead. We offer private tours where it's just your family and a private tour guide. It's not a group of people. And you'll just get to see the areas that you're most interested in. Some people love the beach. Some people love the mountains. Some people want to try them both. So you might want to do both of them. But a private tour is a good way to get an in-depth information about an area that you're interested in. So next question, are there lockdown mandates or QR codes required in Panama? So there's no lockdown mandates right now. The current situation as of today is that there is a curfew from 1 a.m. to 4 a.m. to try to eliminate the parties. To come into the country, if you're vaccinated, you don't even have to get a COVID test to come into the country. I would recommend that you do it anyway. But if you're not vaccinated and you're coming into the country, then you have to have a COVID test that's not more than 72 hours old. So those are the main rules for coming into the country right now. Okay. So next question. Are there walkable neighborhoods for shopping without a car? So Denise, yes, there's many neighborhoods. If you're living close to town, like my town of Boquete, a lot of times what I'll do is I'll go and I'll find a place to park my car that's kind of close to the grocery store. And then I'll walk to the bank and do what I need to do there. Maybe walk to the pharmacy if I want to get some things, meet friends for lunch, and then walk over to the grocery store, get the things I need so that my car is close by so I can put everything in the car. Many neighborhoods are very walkable. Next question, what is a good car rental price expected to be? So car rental prices here in Panama, you have to be careful. If you rent from one of the big name brand companies like Thrifty or Hertz, their prices on their website might look really, really, really low. But when you get here, you're going to find out that they're going to charge you an arm and a leg for insurance. So it can really add up. A good price to expect to pay is about $30 a day for a car rental. That's going to include insurance. It's going to include taxes. It's going to include everything with no hidden fees for about $30 a day. Another question, how does one use Medicare in Panama? That's a good question, Claudia. Thank you for asking that. So you can use if you have certain Medicare plans, let me get a drink, hold on. You have certain Medicare plans, then you can use those in Panama for urgent care or for emergencies. But just for routine care, you're not going to be able to use your Medicare in Panama. If you take prescriptions and you have Medicare, then you may be able to use your doctor back in the United States to write the prescription. You can get it filled at Amazon Pharmacy and get the medication shipped to Panama to keep your costs down on medications. So you can use Medicare for medications and also for urgent care or for emergencies. Okay, next question. Can I work remotely from the U.S. with a pensionado visa? Yes, you can. With a pensionado visa, you're not allowed to work in Panama selling any products or any services here in Panama, but you can absolutely work remotely for another company with a pensionado visa. What you might want to do, though, to qualify for the foreign earned income exclusion, you have to be paid by a foreign company. So if you're working for someone else, you might want to rearrange things so that you set up a company here in Panama, and that'll cost $1,000 to $1,500 to do that. And then the company that you work for would hire your Panama company to do the job. You're the employee of the company, and you would be paid by the Panama company. So then you'd qualify for that $112,000 in exemption. So good question, Jessica. Are there gun laws in Panama? There are gun laws in Panama. Right now, there's a ban on bringing any guns into the country. And it's been that way for a long time. I think since 2012. For a long time, you haven't been able to bring your own personal guns into the country. However, once you get your permanent visa, you can apply for a gun permit, and you can buy guns at one of the gun stores here in Panama. It's a lengthy process for getting a gun permit, but I do know people that have been able to do it, so you can do it. There's really not any hunting here in Panama. There's a few gun ranges throughout the country for practicing, but some people just want to have their gun. Another question, do you give a discount if you buy the guide, then go on the tour on a later date? We do give a small discount. So if you buy the complete Panama relocation guide, and then you decide to do one of our all-inclusive 7-day tours later, you get a $200 discount off the price of the tour. Another question, with a pensionado visa, can you set up a company? With a pensionado visa, you can set up a company. However, you can own the company. You're just not allowed to work in the company in Panama unless you get a work permit. With a pensionado visa, you can never get a work permit. So if you know you want to set up a company in Panama and be able to work in it, then pensionado visa would not be the best visa for you to get. And Diego said, absolutely right, there's a better way to live. It's called Panama. That's the better way to live. The cost of living is less. The weather's beautiful. The people are friendly. There's not the political tension going on like you're dealing with all of the time. So it's certainly a better way to live. So these questions are coming in so fast I can't get on all of them. Let me try. Cost of a private tour for 3 days for 3 person. So I'm not sure I understand that. So cost of a private tour is about $200 to $250 a day for a couple, for 1 to 2 people. If there's a third person, then you would add another $100 to that. So you might want to do, if you're interested in the beach, they would show you some rentals in the beach. You might want to do the Coronado, San Carlos area. Depending on your budget, you might want to also look at the Azuera. We have a really good tour guide named Rick that can show you some properties in the Azuera that are beach communities there. By the way, I have one coming up real soon that I'll be posting in about 1 more week on our private Facebook group. It's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath house with an ocean view. It's not right on the beach, but you can see the ocean from the house. It's only half a block away and furnished. Everything included except electricity for $600 a month on the beach. Who wants to move there? Anybody? So the price for the private tour is not per person. The price is per couple. So 1 or 2 people can go for $200 to $250 a day. If there's a third person, you'd add another $100. So someone says they're going to take that. So come on down. You got to get to Panama if you want to live on the beach for $600 a month. So someone asks, how has climate change impacted Boquete? I don't really know the answer to that question. There is a great website called boqueteweather.com. And he has lived here, I think, for about 15 or 16 years, and he tracks the weather all the time. So if you go to boqueteweather.com, you can see that the amount of rain that we get per year has not changed in the last 10 years. If when the rain starts might change a little bit from 1 year to another. When the dry season starts, might start a little 2 weeks earlier, but I haven't really, in the 11 years I've been here, I haven't noticed a change. Next question, are ATVs allowed on the streets? So ATVs are absolutely allowed on the streets if it's been inspected and if you have a license plate on it. If there's no license plate, and you can't get a license plate unless it's been inspected, then you're not going to be able to drive it on the street. So let me tell you about getting your car inspected. This is going to blow you away. When I lived in the United States and I had to take my car in to get it inspected, they did the emission control check. You know, they made sure the brakes worked. They checked the horn. They did all kinds of stuff. But here in Panama, when you get your car inspected, it's a super easy process. They take a picture of the front of the car. They take a picture of the right side of the car. They take a picture of the back of the car, and they take a picture of the left side of the car. And that's it. You just had your inspection. It's just pictures. That's all they do is take a picture of your car. So it's and it costs, I think, $20 to get that inspection done. Okay, so I enjoy road cycling. Do you know if that's a fairly safe activity? It depends on where you are. My next door neighbor, I have a rental house that's right next to my house. He rides bikes all over the roads here in the Boquete area all the time. He's also ridden down to the beach on his bicycle. He has regular bikes and e-bikes, but he really likes riding, and it's amazing, beautiful views. Next question is internet reliable across the country? I would say the answer to that is not necessarily. If you have fiber optics, then you're going to have much more reliable internet, but fiber optic is not available everywhere here in Panama. I actually wrote a report about internet speeds and where fiber optic is available. So if you go to PanamaRelocationTours.com and you click on at the upper right-hand corner, that little spyglass, click on internet speeds, then you can see a report that I wrote about internet speeds. One of the bad things about living in some areas, if you're by the beach, if you're in the Coronado area, you're still going to be able to have fiber optic, 100, 200, 600 megabits of internet speed. But some other beach communities like Las Lajas, Las Olas, perhaps also the beach communities around the Azora Peninsula, you're going to be really lucky to get 10 megabits of internet speed there. So there's always going to be trade-offs here in Panama, and it's something that you definitely need to investigate. You know, when I rented my house, and I rented it before I actually moved to Panama, when I rented my house, I asked the landlord, what's the internet speed? I said, does it have high-speed internet? He said, oh, yeah. I said, well, what's the speed? He said, as much as you want to pay for. Well, I didn't know what I didn't know when I moved here. So when I moved into the house, I had 3 megabits of internet speed. And I called the company to bump it up to as much as I could. And I could only go up to 10 megabits of internet speed. And that was going to cost $135 a month. It was ridiculous. But luckily, a couple of years after I moved here, then I got fiber optic on my street. So now I have 250 megabits of internet speed and cable TV, and it's only $60 a month. Another question. So right now, dealerships are having issues with supply. I don't know what that has to do with, not sure what that is. Your internet article is very informative. Thank you very much. Yeah, it'll give you an eye-opening experience if you're thinking about moving to a particular area, but you do remote work. It's really important to know what the internet speed is going to be in the area. Just because someone says, oh, yeah, we have high-speed internet, that's not the right question to ask. The better question to ask is, who's the internet service provider? If it's Tigo, then you're going to have fiber optics, but you need to ask, what is the internet speed? And ask them to show you a speed test that they've recently done for proof on what the internet speed is. If they just say it's high-speed internet, high speed might be 3 megabits of internet speed. Another question, in Boquete, how many gated communities are there? I think there's about 7 gated communities in the Boquete area. Another question, I would like to say thank you, Jackie, for answering so many questions on the PRT website. Thank you, Tally. I appreciate that. And also doing these weekly calls to answer your question. I know for all of you that it's a huge decision to move to another country. And it just helps to know the answers to some of your questions. Before you even buy a ticket to come here, you need to know the answers to some of your questions. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm going to tell you the good, the bad, and things that you don't want to hear. Like next Saturday's call might be some things that you don't want to hear, but it's all things that you need to know so that you can make an informed decision about whether Panama is going to work for you or not. So with that, it's been 1 hour already on the call. I see that many of you still have many, many questions to ask. You're going to have an opportunity next Saturday, January the 8th at 5 o'clock Central. I'm going to do another live stream and talk about 8 essential things that you need to consider before you move to Panama. Unfortunately, the information on this call may disqualify some of you from being able to move to Panama. Perhaps there's a workaround, and I'll talk about the workarounds also. And then the next Saturday, we're going to go back to just a regular conference call, and it's going to be a Q&A call because you guys have so many questions. You need a whole hour of me or more. Maybe I'll do a 2-hour marathon of me answering your questions because you have so many, and I want to get to all of them, but there's only so many hours in the day. So if someone asks if this live stream is going to be posted, it will be posted immediately afterwards. Then I will be posting it. And I have to tell you guys, I think this is like my 3rd or 4th live stream. I'm not very good at it. I don't feel comfortable doing it. I like the regular calls even more, but so many people have asked me to do these live streams that I'm doing them for you so that you can and I'm still learning how to use this equipment that I use so I can post your questions up here and see all your questions pouring in while I'm trying to talk at the same time. It's a little bit confusing, but I'm working on it. I'm working on getting better at it so that I can provide you with the information that you need. So I want to thank you so much for your patience in my lack of knowing exactly what I'm doing on these live streams, doing the best I can and providing you with as much information as I possibly can to give you what the information you need to make an informed decision about moving to Panama. So I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening. I've already got a Netflix movie picked out and dinner is already cooked. I just have to warm it up a little bit, and I'm going to call it a night on this live stream and see you next Saturday, same time, same place, right here on the live stream. I'll send out information. This is the next call is very, very, very important, and you don't want to miss the call next time. Thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend, and Happy New Year.